Right, today we're joined by the man of the moment, Cameron Ciraldo. Thank you for joining us here today on the Buy Round.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Been excited about it.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to getting in to this conversation with you, mate. It's been a busy few weeks. You've been in the headlines. Almost the most talked about man in rugby league for the past couple of weeks. We had it was named the Cameron Ciraldo Cup yesterday. I don't know how you felt about that, but just how have you dealt with these headlines over the past couple of weeks?
It's been different. Obviously, my footy career, I never experienced anything like this, so definitely been different. I've been really lucky to have good people to be able to lean on and talk to. Craig Fitzgibbon's one of my good mates, and he's been through this before, so being able to just call him up and talk about different things has been really helpful over the last few years, but especially over the last few weeks. And one of the big points he made to me a while ago was, when your name's in the paper or anything like that, it is uncomfortable, but it's actually great practice for what may come in the future. So he's been a great sounding board, as have many other people. But can't say it hasn't been uncomfortable at times.
Obviously, it's not just you it affects. Has there been many conversations around the Ciraldo dinner table, talking about what might be coming up? Obviously, you've got a young family. Do they bring it up too much?
The family's been good there. It's chaos in our house. We've got 5 kids. They've all got different activities. And so being able to sit down and talk just about normal things doesn't happen all that often at the moment. But they've been really good. The girls don't care about footy. They have no idea what's going on or anything like that. But they obviously sometimes their friends say something, so they come home and ask, "Dad, is this true?" And I'll say, "No, you'll be the first to know. If something happens, trust me, you'll be the first to know." So it's been a little bit of a learning curve for them, but it's important. At the end of the day, you'll do what's best for your family, and that's in the forefront of my mind.
Yeah, it is funny that whenever while I was playing and my future was source of speculation or the topic of speculation, it's like, my mum was the worst for it. She was like, "Oh, are you going there?" It's like, "Mum, if something happens, you'll probably be about the 3rd person to know." And you will not be finding out through social media or an interview or, for the paper or a TV show. You'll find out from me. So please stop asking. That can be quite frustrating at times.
Yeah.
Onto coaching. I'm on the fence with it. Obviously, I've got a podcast starting, which is great. Coaching it appeals to part of me, but I don't know. It seems like it seems like you need to be wired up a little bit differently. I was wired up differently. I'm trying to change a bit of who I was. What attracts you to coaching rugby league?
I never planned to get into coaching. It just sort of happened. So I think the thing I like about it most is just helping people. So whether I was coaching or doing something different, finance or something like that, I think deep down you just want to help people. That's sort of my motivation for doing things. So when I was playing, I never really thought coaching would be an option, because I always thought it'd be like, if you're going to become a coach, you've got to be a star player or someone highly valued at a club. So I always thought about coaching as in I'll go coach my young blokes under 10s team or something like that. But you'd always be picking things up and saying, "Oh, I'd like to do that differently," or when I coach Matthews Cup one day, I'd like to do that. So I sort of just fell into it from that regard. Penrith were really good to me when my career finished. Gus and Ivan saw something in me as a coach. I've been going down to the SG ball training just to see what it was like and see if there was maybe a development role or something after footy. So sort of fell into it in that regard, but I was probably really lucky in that SG ball team was 5 or 6 players that are playing first grade in our squad now, and just really enjoyed being around them and ended up creating really good relationships with them. So from that regard I fell into it, and it was mainly the reason I do it is I just pretty much like helping people.
Just tell us about that. Obviously you had a promising career cut short from a terrible, it was a knee injury.
I broke my ankle pretty bad. But that was when I was at Newcastle. So I ended up, I was pretty lucky with the surgery there. It was, I think 2009 or something like that. And I was very lucky to have a good surgeon because the ankle was a bit of a mess. And some of the doctors said, you'd be lucky to run again, let alone play. So I was very lucky to have a good surgeon, but I was very lucky to be in a good club with good systems and good medical staff to be able to get me back playing, and ended up going on to play probably 5 or 6 years after that. So I was real lucky in that regard.
But then another injury happens, and then you retire.
No. I had a couple injuries, but nothing major. I didn't. At the World Cup, 2017 World Cup, I was actually retiring anyway. I was.
Right. Okay.
I was going to retire anyway. I was 15 minutes away from retiring, and we had an overlap. I was playing for Italy against Tonga. Had an overlap, and I caught the ball above my head, and Conrad Harrell read the play, hit me right in the ribs, and I lacerated my pancreas. And spent 7 days in Leeds Hospital. So that was the last game of my career, but I was actually finished anyway. So
right,
yeah,
okay. So you've rose through the coaching ranks, and you're coaching some of the best young talent this game has ever seen. Can you tell us how you go about developing those youngsters?
I think when I was in my role as 20s NYC coach here, I think you just try and set up an environment that gives people opportunities, and that's all you can do as a coach, especially in that development sort of coaching space. Set up a program that you think is what's best for those kids and those guys. And at the end of the day, I think we had at one stage in that 20s squad, we had 70 players. So 70 players in the system in under 20s, and we just had a program that gave them an opportunity. And the guys that ended up playing first grade and are still here at this club now were the guys that worked the hardest and made the most sacrifices. So for me, it was, coaching is just at that level, just giving them an opportunity, and those guys are the ones that took it.
When you speak about opportunity, are we talking about key skill development, football knowledge, or man management things away from the field?
I think just giving them the basic skills they need to become an NRL player. So all the skills that they're going to need, obviously the fitness, the strength programs, and that's, our club's done really well at that over the last 10 years of setting all those things up and putting people in the right positions in the pathways. The kids that have come through these programs haven't wanted for anything. They've had all the right guidance and specialist sort of coaching at every turn. So it's been a really good thing that the Panthers put in place probably 10 years ago, and seeing the benefits from it now. But at the end of the day, those kids that have come through and are now in our NRL system are the ones that worked the hardest and made the most sacrifices. Yeah.
Well, what do you think sets Penrith's environment apart from the other clubs that maybe aren't so successful at developing juniors?
I think that's probably hard to answer because I've only been here and haven't seen any other clubs. But for me, the strength of this place is the people in it. They're the systems we have in place, the volunteers that come in and run those systems from 14s upwards. Those guys make huge sacrifices, and again, they're all just there to help people, help kids to take those opportunities and become NRL players. But the system's really good, but it's the people inside it, the guys that give up the time, and the players that put in all that effort. That's what makes this club great.
Is there a conscious effort to spot any bad eggs and remove them from this environment?
I don't think.
Or do you think it's just hey, you get in line and be part of this, or you just won't be welcome here?
I think the guys that in those development programs, I think we've been really good at picking strong characters and reliable characters throughout the last probably 7 or 8 years. And again, that's the advantage of being a development club, is you have all these kids coming through, and the guys that train hard, good teammates, and display those good qualities, they're the ones that end up getting the contract to go to the next level and having long careers here. But that's not to say bad eggs get squeezed out. It's just the strongest sort of survive.
Yeah, so those are the traits that Penrith look for, rather than necessarily who's the best player, who's got the most ability. It's those traits of character is really important and really valued here.
Yeah, I think think it's that team first mentality that's gone through the whole club. You know, Ivan's been really big on that in his first stint as head coach here at Penrith, and then in his second stint as well. He's a team first guy, team first coach, and it just definitely seeps into our development programs as well. And you know, the guys that have come through and had success have definitely displayed those qualities. Yeah,
well, it's proven its worth. Obviously, you went on to win the grand final last year. After the heartbreak of the season previous, just how important do you think that was for the club, the community, and the group?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, amazing for the club and the group. You know, it was awesome experience being away in Queensland and winning a comp. You know, we're staying at a resort with our families. It was just so insular and such a special time. But you know, part of us, I think everyone in the club would have loved to have been back in Penrith after that win, which is probably something, you know, we did miss out on. But you know, you wouldn't change it for the world. But I think that also leaves a little bit of motivation for the group going into this year, that they'd love to win a premiership in Penrith and share it with people of Penrith.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, actually. So many teams make grand finals or get the opportunity or go on to win the trophy and then fall off a cliff, and they can't replicate what they've already done. It seems to be the opposite here. Like, most teams go south. Penrith seem to have got even better than the 2 years previous. And what do you think? What do you think that's down to? Is it just purely they want to win one in Penrith? Is it as simple as that?
Oh, I think there's probably little external motivations like that, but the biggest thing I think is the internal motivation these guys have. You know, that core group of players that just want to turn up every day and work harder and be better. And you know, as coaches, we're blessed by that, because you could say the same things to other people and probably not get the same amount of buying and commitment that these guys display. Like, from day one of pre-season, they've just turned up and want to train harder, get better, and just win. Like, we've been pretty blessed. I've been blessed to be associated with these guys for so long, because they make you look good.
I bet they do. There's some magnificent talent here. They're a joy to watch as well. They really, really are a joy to watch. And you know, for someone that's recently retired from the game, sometimes you don't want to watch too much. But wow, they're absolutely sensational. They really are. So you've had quite an important role in the development of some of these juniors, and unfortunately, there's an issue with the boss's knee at the moment. He's missed a couple of games. You've stepped in. How have you found that role?
Yeah, it's not really stepping into anything. It's just Ivan's still here most of the time during the week. He's had a couple of days where the knee's played up and he's been in some real pain. Like, he's had a real battle to get through that, but he's coming out the other side now. But in terms of stepping into that role, no one really steps into it. Like, Ivan still picks the team, he still sets the plans and all that, and our roles don't change as Andrew Webster does the attack, and got Ben Harden doing some transition, attack and defence, and Peter Wallace coaches New South Wales Cup, and I just worry about the defence. So game day is a little bit different, where, you know, Ivan's not there to talk pre-game at half-time and post-game, so we sort of take up the slack there. But in terms of doing our roles, everyone's just chipped in, done their roles best they can. We've relied on the leaders a lot more, which has been good growth for them and us as well. So, you know, it's a credit to the system and culture Ivan's set up that he can not be here and things just flow on how they have been. So it's been a learning experience for probably everyone involved, but pretty cool experience as well. Yeah,
you say you look after the defence. What type of defensive coach would you say you are? What are you looking for?
Stop scoring tries. I don't know. How detailed do you go on that? Like, I've got my beliefs and things around defence, but I'm also going back to that point about the guys we've got in the squad as well. Like, you can say go out there and do this, but unless those guys really believe in it and commit to it, like, it's actually worthless. So, you know, I totally understand that our defence is only as good as our players in that system and how committed they are. And I've been very lucky to, you know, you look at a guy like Viliami Kikau, who's probably the best defensive back rower in the comp. The amount of effort he puts in every week to his defence, like, is just, he gets a lot of raps for his attack, but no one quite gives him the raps I think he deserves defensively. But the system's there, and it's my job to keep that system on track and show them what the opposition's going to do and all those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, it's the players that go out there and just absolutely compete on every play and take it personally. Like, that's what makes them a great defensive team.
That's right, because I guess you bring up an example there in Kikau, and people do just want to talk about his brilliance in attack and his ability in attack. It's not his defensive attributes or his defensive skill. Like you say, you've got him as the best defensive back rower. So how do you generate that level of importance to defence when you've got players that, they're attracted to being part of the media? Look at a guy like Dylan Edwards. He's the effort that guy puts in is sensational, but he's not a flashy player. How do you get the players to put defence at the top of the hierarchy?
I think that sort of comes back to, there's a number of things. I think they know that unless they defend well, Ivan won't pick him in the team. So that helps, being a defensive coach, when the head coach, relies heavily on the defence. He's not going to pick you if you're not doing your job defensively. So that creates a really good culture around defence. The core leadership guys, like, they value defence as well. They want to be known as a defensive team. You look at a guy like Nathan Cleary. He's the best number 7 defensively in the comp. He's incredible. What he does, especially last year when he was injured, he had one shoulder, and he was able to come up with the plays that he did in that final series is just incredible. But in terms of style of coaching around the joint, review, preview type things, we try and celebrate all the little things defensively that, people outside of our 4 walls might not see. So the real effort-based stuff, the big defensive plays, we try and really celebrate them and make it known that we value them internally, and the guys that are coming up with those plays are being really valued.
Yeah, so you make it a priority, right? You make it the key performance indicator is around defence, despite being known. Well, obviously we can see the numbers defensively. You don't concede many tries, but when you put in the highlights reel together, it's the attack that gets all the external noise, but inside here, it's defence, right?
Oh yeah, like we value everything on the field, whether it's kick, pressure, attack, all those sorts of. There's 1,000 actions that go into a game, but from my point of view, when I've got to talk to the group, I want to celebrate those little actions of defensive efforts, and I think, but again, unless the players buy into that and really value that themselves, then they won't do it. So. It's been pretty cool, the culture that's been created where they actually love it. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. Back to you and your coaching career. I guess most people assume that you want to be a head coach, but for me, it's not obvious that you'd walk away from that assistance role, because obviously, we spoke earlier about the media pressure, and it's not just you, it's your whole family as well. Is being a head coach on your radar one day?
It's on. I could say it's on the radar, but it's not something I've actively gone out and said to anyone, I want to be a head coach, or I'm not ringing up people looking for jobs or anything like that. I'm really happy doing what I'm doing at Penrith. As I said, I really appreciate how easy these guys are to coach, what great people they are. The relationships that we build over time, and how enjoyable it is to come to work every day. So, I think people expect or assume that you're going to rush in and the first opportunity that pops up, you're going to take it. That hasn't been my mindset at all over the last few years. I've just tried to enjoy what I'm doing, try to be the best I could be at that job. But I know at some stage, an opportunity might pop up that I'm going to have to seriously think about and address and challenge myself at the next level. But I wouldn't say I'm in a rush, and I'm not actively going out pursuing those things at the moment.
Yeah, well, you have earned that reputation. I guess it comes with the territory, right? And it must be difficult to manage. But I think, you know, speaking to people around the game, they speak very highly of you as a man manager and as a tactician as well. So no doubt those clubs are going to come knocking. So yeah, I reckon we'll be around the headlines for many years to come, or maybe weeks to come. Who knows? Who knows? On your coaching, obviously, you got to assume that Ivan has been a big influence on you. Is there any other influences outside of Ivan that has influenced how you coach?
Yeah, Ivan's been a big influence. Obviously, he was my coach for the last 2 years of my career. So as that transition happened from becoming player to coach, he's the guy you're sort of looking at, and he was my first boss. You know, I was 20s coach and he was the NRL coach. So he was the guy you were bouncing things off and giving you advice along the way. I think his style of coaching is sort of probably something I've taken on board as well. He's not a yeller and a screamer, but he's a guy that can just speak to you as a person, and you can also speak to him away from footy and those sorts of things. So his sort of style and his philosophies has definitely had a big impact. Obviously, Gus was here before as well, and you know, I'd probably 6 or 7 years of picking his brain on different things and his sort of mentorship around the joint. And you know, he's probably one of the smartest guys in footy, and I've learned so much from him as well. As well, been lucky enough to have Royce Simmons in the building every day, and what Royce has been able to do for probably myself and Peter Wallace as young coaches over the last few years has been pretty incredible as well. Royce is he's probably the most humble guy you'll ever meet. He's won comps as a player. He was involved at the West Tigers when they won the comp in 2005. He's been the Penrith head coach. He's coached in England. He's done everything, but he'll never come and jam his opinion down your throat. He'll walk in the room and just say, you know, I've noticed something. If you take it on board or tell me to beat it, but and then he'll sort of tell you what he's seeing. But he was incredible for Peter Wallace and I when we first started coaching. He came in, he gave us a stack of notes, you know, that thick, and it was all handwritten notes on drills and skills and things that we could use. And you know, we were really lucky to get that off him and have him there to bounce things off. And you know, a lot of those drills and skills and philosophies that he showed us have come out in the way we play now, and the way definitely the defensive system. So been lucky. There's been heaps more as well. As I said, Fitzy over the years has been really good. Yeah, and the coaches I had while I was playing have definitely had impacts along the way as well. I think Trent Robinson probably gave me my first little insight into coaching when I broke my leg at Newcastle. He was the assistant coach, and you know, it was round 2 when I broke my leg, and he had me go and look at the opposition for the next week and have a think about what to preview and present to the players. And I've even taken that on board with players that we've got now when they're injured, giving them little challenges like that. And he even got me reading books and things like that while I was injured and looking at footy from a different angle. So, you know, he definitely had a big impact as well, and probably taken some of that, of what he was doing for me back then, and implemented in the way I coach at the moment. Yeah,
I believe he did exactly the same with Brett Morris as well, who's another young aspiring assistant coach, and it was unfortunate off the back of an injury that Brett Morris sort of found himself looking what to do next, and Trent Robinson was the same with him as he was with you. It was an injury that sort of, you know, inspired Brett to pursue this coaching career. Back to Royce, I actually had Royce as my head coach over in St Helens in 2011 there, and he was the core skills he was really big on, yeah. and I learned a hell of a lot from Royce then, and it's great to see that he's still passing on his knowledge, you know, and I think his humble approach is what sets him apart, and it's like, you can take this or leave this. Yeah. I'm not going to be offended by it, but he's one of the game's greatest blokes. He's one of life's greatest blokes. He's sensational. I don't think there's anybody out there that's got a bad word to say about him, but I don't know if you know this. When he was actually, the first time he was a coach in England, he coached Hull FC, yeah. And he ran 5 marathons to raise funds to bring Desi Hasler over as a recruitment, or as a recruit, an Australian, a high-profile Australian recruit. Can we see Cam Ciraldo doing anything like that to attract a player to a club? I
don't know if I could run a lap of the field at the moment, but Royce is one one of the most mentally tough people I've ever met. Like, he's just incredible. I feel very lucky that he, back into 2018, we were able to get him and Brandy to come out on the field and start coaching and helping our young players, and he's had a pretty big impact on everyone around here. But just so mentally tough. I remember him telling me one day, he had a sore ankle, and to fix his sore ankle, he went for a run. So it's just how he rolls.
Only Royce. Only Royce. You speak about Trent Robinson and reading. What books did he get you to read?
At first, he remembered this last year. This was like 10 years earlier. Remember, I spoke to him last year, and he printed out a chapter of Michael Hussey's book, because it was all about preparation and routine and how to get to that routine into your daily life, but then also how to still perform when you don't have that routine. So, he still remembered the exact chapter, why he gave it to me, what the messages were. Like, he's just got this incredible brain. He gave me Michael Johnson's book. And I wasn't a big reader. I was hopeless, like could not read, but he sort of put me onto that, and now I love reading, read books all the time, give the boys books when I can and try and encourage them to read and do the same thing. So it's pretty cool, the impact he had on me 10, 15 years ago, to being able to do that for people now. Yeah,
it interests me that. What books are you reading at the moment, or what books have you read recently that you'd recommend? There's heaps of different ones. The 4 Agreements is one that I give the boys at the moment. They've all seemed to sort of jump onto that. A few of them really like it. That's a really cool book. The other good one that all the boys are a couple of boys have taken on is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. That's a pretty incredible book. That's on my to-read list, actually, about having purpose in your life, and just so many good analogies. But there's a couple. We gave I was reading Rickson Gracie's book called Breathe. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. And we printed out a chapter for the boys, and they really liked that. And some of the things he was doing 30 years ago that are so relevant to what we're doing now, and the way they prepare for big games now. So, Isaac Tago's a really big reader. Oh, wow, because he's only pretty young as well. He's like 19 or 20. Yeah, not that young people don't read, but it's not something you assume with. It's something that normally people take up a little bit later in life. Mate, he's read more books, in the last couple of years than some people have read in their life. Like, he's incredible. He's just such a sponge for knowledge, and he's going to be a star because he's put so much into it. Yeah. Have you read The Inner Game of Tennis? Yeah, great book. I wish I read it when I was playing. That's a cracker. Yeah, there's a lot of books actually I wish I've recently gotten into reading a little bit later in my career, but I wish I was aware of this knowledge when I was a youngster coming through. So a guy like Tago, that's frightening that he's applying knowledge to his ability. It's great to hear. Yeah, it really is. It's refreshing as well, seeing guys like that put so much time and effort into their sort of developing their learning and preparation and things like that. So he's really really cool to be around. Yeah, he's someone we should definitely have on, because that really interests me. It doesn't give that perception. It doesn't. When you watch, obviously, I get caught in the trap and I only see the end product, what's on the field, and he doesn't come across as a person who's a reader. But that's great to hear. Get him on. Put him on the guest list. It's you speak about reading, taking advice from yesteryear, things that are still relevant now. I like to also consider the future. What do you think the future of coaching is going to look like? I think there's going to have to be a lot more understanding about mental health and issues surrounding that. The spike in social media, I think, is probably one of the greatest challenges of players at the moment. Just how much they've got to deal with, and how much either positive or negative attention that sort of receives. So, I think it's sort of probably come into the coach's psyche already around making sure our players are have the tools they need to be successful and cope when things are going well and things are going bad.
I think our wellbeing department at Penrith especially do an incredible job of helping out in that regard and thinking outside of the box of how we can help these guys either to stay grounded or when things aren't going great for them, have support mechanisms around them and tools to be able to deal with it. But I think that's probably the biggest challenge for the game moving forward, for people moving forward. It's just being able to deal with social media and the challenges that opens up.
Yeah. Do you look to technology at all?
What sort of technology?
So I've been looking at it recently, and the virtual reality and training.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen much about that?
So I was lucky enough to do some PD tours a couple of years ago over to America and went to the Seattle Seahawks, who had a room probably twice as big as this, and they did their virtual reality training in there. And I was like, how could we do that with NRL, because our game's really a lot more fluid and things like that. But then I went to Stanford and saw how it was actually done. In terms of the way the quarterbacks were able to see what was happening around them and make decisions based on just video. I thought it was incredible. Again, I still don't know how that would apply to NRL because it's so many different moving parts. But yeah, I definitely think there's a way in the future of being able to do that.
Well, as a coach, I've kind of got this vision. So if there's any techie people out there, I've just got the vision for it. What I'd love to see is you put on your virtual reality headset. As a coach, you can arrange a situation and then have it play out. So you'd be in control of it. As the coach, I'm the player. I've got the VR headset. You change it, and then I make decisions based off that. Yeah. And then also, one of the things I know people are currently trying to develop is, so one of the things, especially we all often look to the States. They seem to be at the frontier of all of this. Obviously, one of the dangers of our sport is the sheer amount of contact that players have to endure on the field, but also in a game, but also away from the game. They reduce their level of contact. I know that there's things in their collective bargaining agreement which limits their amount of contact training that they have. But one of the things that have been born from that is now virtual reality contact, where almost like when you go to you see it, not a theme park, but like one of those games rooms, and they've got the dancing things, and you've got to match up and dance at the same time. So virtual reality with that contact, as you make contact, you have a virtual player coming towards you. It's about the timing, and hit the pad. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that in action in the next couple of years to help limit that contact. So yeah,
I wish I had the ability to make that happen. I reckon I'd be rich.
Yeah, well, we'll sign you up. Not that I'm coming up with it. It's just I'm just big on ideas, and I like thinking about how the future might look. So yeah, so maybe when you're a head coach, you can have one of those VR simulated scenario training, development, whatever it is.
Anything that helps you make more decisions or learn more about good decision making is going to be a positive on coaching, on players, on anyone involved. So
yeah, it sure is. Yeah. We'll see how see if it comes to fruition. Cam, I just want to say thank you for giving up your time here today. I understand you're a man that's in demand. I appreciate you coming on here. No doubt these next couple of months are going to be very interesting for you. I wish you all the best in managing that, and if and when you take up a head coaching role, I'd love to come and chat more about your grand plans for the future, and how that's all going to look. So, but again, on behalf of everyone here at the Byround, thank you for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.